And you know how the old adage, defense wins championships, or defense travels?
I've heard that.
You know, that's the winning formula, or you can't win without a great quarterback, or whatever the case may be. Or like Joe Burrow, for example. He doesn't do anything great. He's just a winner. That's Joe Burrow. And we just had the Rams win a Super Bowl, and there's all these takes about Stafford. Is he a Hall of Fame guy? Is he not a Hall of Fame guy? Everybody around here talking about winning. Got opening day coming up Friday. Mississippi State, the reigning, not defending national champion. Everybody's talking about winning around here.
You guys are making it easy for me these last few days. I really appreciate it.
We're tired of hearing you talk.
You know who the real winner is always and forever? It's not Joe Burrow, it's not Tom Brady or Matt Stafford or even Mississippi State baseball. The real winner is always and forever billable hours. Always billable hours. That is the real winner in sports and everything in life, apparently.
Yeah, lawyers are about to be involved. Hey, Dad, did you want to have a dissenting opinion? I would say the person that wins the Powerball, like somebody won the Powerball last night in Connecticut, that person is a winner.
Yeah, but not always a winner.
Not always.
Our wives, always winners. Whenever they say anything, they're just always right, and we should just go with it. Yeah. That's not just. I'm not talking when I say "are." I don't limit that to the three of us. I mean the whole world. But look, Borky is right. Lawyers always have their it's a pun. They always have their day in court. Lawyers always are going to be, when they're involved, money happens. So, and once again, lawyers are going to be involved in college football. So, but you know what? This is one I'm excited to see how it turns out, because I think there's going to be some blood in this one. There's going to be some nastiness, which I'm a fan of.
Dateline Dallas, but kind of a subset Dateline in Hattiesburg and West Virginia and Virginia. Conference USA, yes, Conference USA has announced its football schedule for the 2022 season. The 14-team alignment for the 22 campaign will again feature each team playing 8 conference games, along with 4 non-league contests. Total of 169 games are scheduled over 13 regular season playing weeks, plus 1 Week 0 contest. The 2022 alignment will feature 7 teams in the East Division of Conference USA and 7 teams in the West Division. Charlotte, FIU, Florida Atlantic, also known as FAU, Marshall, Middle Tennessee, Old Dominion, and Western Kentucky make up the East, while the West is comprised of Louisiana Tech, North Texas, Rice, Southern Miss, UAB, UTEP, and UTSA. Each school will play every team in its division once for 6 games while playing 2 crossover opponents from the opposite division. Each team will reverse the location of its 2021 games against division opponents. The 2022 schedule complies with CUSA scheduling policies as approved by the Board of Directors. It is important to note that all games are subject to date changes. Yeah. And some dates are expected to move in the coming weeks in order to accommodate national television selections. A schedule of televised games will be released at a later date. This is a release from Conference USA.
Yeah. Quick sidebar. Aside from the fact that they included Southern Miss on this schedule, have you seen who Southern Miss chose to include on their schedule? They're welcoming in Hugh Freeze's Liberty Flames in week 1, and then they're going to Miami in week 2.
Okay.
Love it. Anyway, sorry. I pulled that up and thought, wow.
That's why Kamari Rogers signed with them. He wanted to, you got to see a home team.
Yeah.
In week 2.
It is scrolled off of the front page, but I was going to take you back to a release that we had from Southern Miss last week that runs counter to the release that came from Conference USA, in which the University of Southern Mississippi Athletics Department made it abundantly clear that it would not be participating in a Conference USA football schedule in 2022. In fact, membership in Conference USA would be terminated effective June 30th of 2022. There was a similar release that came from Old Dominion and from Marshall. And so it appears to me that what we have here is a failure to communicate. And to Borky's point, perhaps lawyers will be doing the communication moving forward.
Yeah, that's who wins here. I mean, even if Southern Miss is able to and I expect they're going to be able to get through this. I mean, come on. But it doesn't matter because the people that win is whoever Jeremy McClain hired to lead up the legal side of this. That guy or gal is a winner. Because it's complicated, it's complex, it's a web they're going to have to weave, and they are very much smarter than me. So, yeah, they deserve a little bit more money than I make, but they are going to make a killing during all of this. This is a loaded question. It's a simple question, but it's a loaded one. What conference does Southern Miss participate in come September?
The SunBelt.
So you think it's done regardless
100%.
of this, whatever you want to call this crap that Conference USA is pulling?
This is posturing. This is blustery. This is posturing.
Yeah. So why do it other than being petty? Is that the word to use? Whatever you call this from Conference USA, why? Because, correct me if I'm wrong, tell me I'm crazy. They look incredibly weak by doing this. They look weak. If somebody wants to leave you, let them go. It's like you're dating this girl in high school that wants to break up with you, but you like grab her by the ankles as she's leaving your house. Please, please stay with me. Please don't break up with me. That's what they're doing here, it feels like. It's pathetic.
I would actually take it a step farther than that. I mean, this is a marriage.
Breakup. This is a divorce. Yeah.
This is a marriage that has ended where one of the two parties has filed for divorce and is moving on with its life. And the other party simply will not sign the divorce papers, will not appear before the judge to have the allocation of assets and liabilities. You're talking about a financial statement figured out. Who will not appear before the judge to figure out child support and alimony and whatever else. And won't allow lawyers to debate it. There was a statement from the Conference USA Board of Directors that said Conference USA intends to conduct the 22-23 athletic year with the full 14 institution membership intact. The CUSA Board of Directors will exhaust all necessary legal actions to ensure all members meet their contractual obligations as defined by and agreed to in the Conference USA bylaws. Now, again, the story from Friday, I believe it was that Marshall, Old Dominion, and Southern Miss all announced their plans to leave. Southern Mississippi's statement said the conference's unwillingness to discuss the concept of separation this year creates confusion and doubt for all concerned. The remaining members of Conference USA deserve certainty about their schedules as they plan for competition next year. For their sake, Southern Miss makes public its intent. We've got an updated statement. It's really not much of a statement, though. This is from Scott Watkins of the Sun-Herald. He's the one that got it. But here is Southern Miss's response to this. We would refer you back to our original statement that we released on Friday. That's it. So we told you we're leaving. Go read that if you need some clarity, but we're leaving. So Old Dominion in its statement said, Old Dominion first advised the conference in early December 2021 of the university's plans to terminate its membership in June of 2022. Since then, the university has clearly and consistently repeated its intentions to the conference. Marshall, Southern Miss, and Old Dominion have been abundantly clear, and now I suppose the battle lines have been clearly drawn. We will see where it goes. And there were a couple of questions that were asked and answered. Why do the schools want to leave early? He says simply that there's been quicker movement at the lower levels than the SEC, for example, because the cost is lower. The actual cost to leave Conference USA is forfeiting future money. So if you're not getting the future money, why not go ahead and leave? Conference USA, though, argues that the schools are still contracted to fulfill obligations that come with being a member, like playing games on the Conference USA media rights deal. The schools, Southern Miss, Old Dominion, and Marshall, were hoping to negotiate some sort of an additional fee to get out of the conference early, but they say Conference USA will not even have the conversation, and therefore they are trying to force their way out and therefore force the conversation. And Chris Vanini wraps the story up with regard to what happens next in much the same way that Michael Borky did. He says it became clear weeks ago that lawyers would have to hash this out, but the schools felt they had no choice but to spill this into the public now, which will make it even more expensive for those lawyers. A source told The Athletic that the SunBelt was not actually involved in this. They're just waiting for those three schools to be cleared of their current obligations to Conference USA. And he points that we've seen recent decisions by conferences at the non-FBS level to ban early departing members from postseason competition, but Conference USA does not have that provision in its bylaws. And so this is a breakup that is going to be messy and could drag on for a while, and the lawyers will indeed be the biggest winners when it is all said and done. You asked me a second ago, Borky, what do I think? I mean, where are they going to play? I think they will play in the SunBelt next year. What do you think? What do you think, Hey-Dad?
I agree with you. I don't see a way you can make them play in Conference USA next year. And it's going to be a real problem for these schools, to remake these schedules quickly. But we saw in 2020 that it's doable. We don't have to rely on this 8-9 year out crap. But I just don't see how you can make them play in Conference USA. They'll play SunBelt games this year.
Well, and this is doing it. Maybe I'm being oversensitive to this, but this is kind of doing a disservice to your current members if you're Conference USA. Like, I know it's just Twitter, social media, whatever, but UAB announced their schedule because they got their schedule today. And they had to put Shrugs next to Southern Miss on their schedule. And it's funny, it's joking, it's funny, but at the same time, it's like they don't know about that game. I mean, you've got logistics people that handle hotels and travel and all this stuff. I think that game, though, is supposed to be in Birmingham. But either way, you've got a lot of people that put a lot of work into executing the schedule beyond just we're going to be there that day. And so you're putting all these people through the ringer.
They're kind of off on that. They're going to play Southern and Marshall. It's the other games against the Conference USA teams they should be shrugging their shoulders about because they don't know if they're playing Florida Atlantic and Florida International and Rice in those teams. But they'll play Southern Miss and Marshall in the SunBelt.
Wait, is UAB one of the schools? No.
UAB's in the Big 12. Never mind. I'm wrong. They're going. They'll stay in another year, but they're headed to the Big 12, right?
What?
Didn't UAB get into the Big 12? Or do they go to the American?
The AAC is where they're headed.
I can't keep up with them anymore.
All because of Texas and Oklahoma.
Breaking news. UAB soon to be a Big 12 team.
Longhorns and Sooners have messed me up. Yes. Anyway.
Hey, they'd have more success in the Big 12 than most of
playing.
Most of the Big 12.
They probably would. I don't know anybody's playing. Have to put together some schedules in the last minute. It's going to be great.
Dude, they'd go to Lawrence and wreck Kansas. You know it.
Oh, they'd blow them off, blow their doors off.
Am I crazy? Okay, so UAB and Tulane played in football this year.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense.
Tulane's part of the American.
That's right.
Right.
So that was a non-conference game?
I guess, yeah.
That would appear to be the case, yeah.
Guess that's true. So UAB, Yahoo reported back in October of 2021 that the American Conference, which was rocked by so it's Cincinnati, Houston, and UCF leaving the American, to join the Big 12, and the American was preparing to receive applications from 6 Conference USA members: Charlotte, FAU, North Texas, Rice, UAB, and UTSA. All 6 of those schools have applied to be members of the American, and the American accepted all of those invitations for future membership in the league, but the date is still to be determined.
What do you think the SunBelt's reaction to this is?
Before I answer that, I know this is like it's our job to keep up with this, but there's so much movement, it really is difficult. I mean, in the moment, it's easy to talk about, okay, the teams that are leaving the American and going to the Big 12, and the teams that are leaving Conference USA to go to the American, and who's leaving Conference USA to go to the SunBelt, and who does that leave in Conference USA? But if you're not talking about that on a daily basis, and you allow a month or a couple of months to go by, and then you just try to, off the cuff, remember where everybody is going, it's easy to remember that Texas and Oklahoma are going to the SEC. But when you take like 10 schools from one conference and they're splitting their way to 3 different conferences, it's hard to keep up with it. A lot of movement. So, Borky, your question is, what's the SunBelt thinking?
Yeah, so when the SunBelt, the commissioner of the SunBelt, don't know their name, forgive me, is sitting in their office and they get an email from one of their staffers that has the release from Conference USA saying that these teams are going to play and here's our schedule. What is their reaction? Because I imagine the SunBelt is currently also making their schedule featuring Southern Miss and Old Dominion and also James Madison. As Kelso points out, our resident James Madison fan also factored into that. And Marshall. So how did they react?
So Keith Gill is the commissioner of the SunBelt. I mean, even though the SunBelt has no statement, they're letting these schools do their thing, you have to believe that this is a somewhat coordinated effort. It was not coincidence that Southern Miss, Old Dominion, and Marshall all announced on Friday that they were leaving effective June 30th, 2022, as had been stated going back to December of last year. That they would play this football season, that they would play this academic year, and then they were out. But the SunBelt Conference, they can't really have a public statement because technically those are still members of Conference USA for now. Chris Vanini reported that the SunBelt normally releases its football schedule in March. So there's some time there. I mean, I'm assuming that there are 2 sets of schedules that are being hashed out. There is the football schedule for the 2022 season that would include the previously mentioned teams. And then you've got the schedule that, I mean, you have to have a working model that if for some reason legally this doesn't work out, does not include Southern Miss, Old Dominion, and Marshall. So the football playing members of the SunBelt Conference going forward, Appalachian State and Coastal Carolina, Georgia State and Georgia Southern, Troy and South Alabama, Louisiana and Louisiana Monroe, Arkansas State and Texas State. And then you're talking about the addition of Southern Miss, James Madison, Marshall, and Old Dominion. And you'll have UT Arlington and Little Rock still in the conference, but not as football playing